Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be focused on your face because I've had some requests for that. So we're gonna do that today. So we'll just go ahead and get right into that. So you guys already know I like to do my brows first. You could do them after foundation, but I always do mine first. So we're gonna start with that. And I'm going in with the same thing I always do. My brows are pretty simple, but if you really want to see how to do them, I can do a different video on that and do them really dramatically so that if you have like shorter brows up here or down here, I can show you, I can overline it and show you where you should be outlining. But for me, it's pretty much just the top and the side that's not full, so it's pretty simple for me, but I do know how to do other brows thanks to my friend Cheyenne that was here for 3 weeks. Alright, so that's it for brows. Now I'm gonna go in with this primer. This is called Pores No More by Dr. Brandt. I think that's how you say it. It's just a little sample I got from Sephora, so because I'm still out of primer, gonna need to get some more. But you're gonna have to use a primer based on your skin type and your face. So like I have pores. I have enlarged pores right here, so I like to cover them up. So I prefer to use a pore primer or a blurring primer because that works best for me. And a lot of times there's people struggle with primer on their nose, so you kind of just have to figure out your own trick with that. I've tried a bunch of things to get my foundation to stick. And with the pore primer, I actually pat it in like this. I don't rub it. So it's gonna give you more of the covered effect for that. So normally I do my brows, I actually usually prime first. I don't know why I didn't. So I'm gonna go ahead and wait for this to settle down before I put my foundation on. Alright, now once your primer is dried down, you're gonna wanna go in with your foundation. So I'm gonna use my Wet n Wild. Do I even ever use a different one at this point? I've maybe used like one other foundation on this channel. Alright, so you can do this many different ways. So it depends on my mood, but sometimes I put it on the back of my hand. You can put it on something flat too. You don't have to use your hand because I know there's oils on your hands. It's whatever to me. But lately I've just been taking the spatula and dotting it. It also depends on what kind of coverage you like. So you're gonna, that's the same thing with foundation and primer. Same concept. You're gonna want to get one that's good for your skin and works for you. You actually, color-wise, you can get color matched at the drugstore. There's usually a beauty consultant there that'll help you. So if you don't know what you're doing, they'll help if you're at the drugstore. Obviously if you go to like Sephora or Ulta, they'll definitely be helpful if you ask. So my Wet n Wild is light, medium, neutral shade, so it works for my skin tone. It doesn't whenever I'm a little lighter, but my face has seen the sun pretty often this year, and I still wear sunscreen and I protect my face, so it's not, I could be like more intensely tan, but I still protect my skin because a tan is just not worth my face getting wrinkles early. But anyway, so after you have your foundation on, you just take any beauty sponge. Like I have a Real Beauty blender or I have the Real Technique sponge, and this one is really affordable. Usually you can find them in 2 packs for like, I think it's like $10 of them. I'm not really sure, but I have this one out for a specific reason, so I'll show you that. But I'm going to use my regular beauty blender. There are plenty of beauty sponges out there that you can use. I have 3. One of them is that velvety one. So if I put it on my face this way, I always make sure to get my neck. You always want to blend down to your neck, or you're going to look really funny when your neck and your face are 2 different shades. Some people put foundation all over their chest, but I'm not that girl. You want to, even if your face is lighter, like my face happens to be a little lighter than the rest of me, so you'd want to get something a little bit deeper in your shade so you can match the rest of your body, because like I said, I do protect my face from the sun a lot. So I don't want wrinkles, don't want skin cancer. I protect the rest of my skin too, but my face tends to burn a whole lot more than the rest of my body. Now, if you don't like using a sponge, you can use a foundation brush. That's just as good. You just want to make sure if you use a brush that there's no streaks at the end. And because the brush can cause like streaks in your foundation, so you want to make sure that that's not there when you're done. Alright, so next I'm going to go into concealer. Now concealer does a couple different things. You can do it just to cover up any discoloration, like dark under eye circles or eye bags, or, well, you can also use it as concealer, which is what I do, but you can also use it to highlight your face. And so if you use a shade lighter than you in your concealer, that's what highlighting's for. So I'll show you how to do that business. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to show you anyway, because usually I just do this, because I really only have the ugly parts right there. This little bit amount goes all over my eye for my concealer, but you can take it all the way up over here. With concealer, I would suggest to color match that also, because everybody has a different undertone. Or, I mean, you might have the same one, but... Okay, so you want to highlight the areas of your face that catch the light. So like this. And you can also do it down here. I don't really do that, but there's like, yeah, right there. You do it like under where you contour bronze. So then you just blend it out. You can use the same sponge or brush, but that would be highlighting. If you just wanted to cover something up, like a pimple or your dark circles, you could do how I did it before, or that's a pimple, so you can just dot it and then blend it out real good. Just get to be able, like, you guys are gonna be able to hear me going whoa, 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 whoa. Like, okay girl, come on. Anyway, see, I don't even know what I was saying now because I got so distracted. So, this is just gonna give you a little bit more coverage than a foundation might. I mean, there are some really full coverage foundations out there, but a lot of people do this just to highlight, even if their foundation does cover everything, like their hyperpigmentation, or your dark circles, or the veins on your eyelids, which is another reason I use the concealer as, the concealer as my primer. And even if I do use a primer on top, the concealer still cancels out the veiny parts of my eyes. But you typically don't want to sit around and talk while you're doing this, because some product dries down a lot faster. Which is another reason why you want to wet your beauty sponge. If you feel like it didn't dry down a lot, like, I'm going to take this one and just pat everything out because it's a little more damp than the other one. This one does tend to get more damp than the regular beauty blender. Okay, so after I do concealer, I like to set my face. You can use any translucent powder to set your face. And I had gotten a question about baking, so I'm going to show you what baking is. So with my sponge, I'm going to use this one, but I usually just, and you want to do this fast because like me, I have natural creases. See, I've already creased because I've been talking. You want to make sure that you don't have any product going into those creases whenever you set it. So if you need to pat it out before you put the powder down, do it, because you're just going to set a crease and your crease is going to be there all day. So I like to do this face so that I don't have any of the creasing happening. Okay, so basically bake is just really extra putting that on there. I can't do it with this because it's just, I don't have enough right now. I need to get more. Give me a moment. Better. I'm running out of translucent powder. There we go. Okay, so usually I set my face before I bronze, but I'm gonna bronze so I can show you the other part of bake. You guys. I was looking for my bronzer. Alright, so now we're gonna bronze. I bronze here. And I like this brush because it's angled. It gets like right in that area. Some people use a bigger brush. It really just depends. But you want to dip in a little bit, tap off, because you don't want to look really crazy. Okay, and I like to go underneath just to blend that foundation out more with the rest of my face, but I only do it a little bit. So right on my jawline. And then I like to get this forehead. Some people laugh and when they're doing this step, they're like, I gotta fix my 5 head, but I actually don't really have a big forehead, so we're just warming up the face with this. And then for the nose, I just like to put that on there like that, just give me some more color. This is winter. Okay, so this has been sitting there for a minute, and that is what bake is. You just leave it on there and it just soaks into your skin pretty much so that it stays all day and nothing creases. So here's another example. You go right below that bronzer, and that's also bake. So right here, that's baking. So what this is gonna do, cut it kind of so that it looks very, that's a thing. So you just let it sit for as long as you need to. If you have drier skin, I don't suggest doing this. I actually have combination skin, so I typically don't bake because the areas that I actually have the bake on are drier. So I was just doing it as an example. I can show you how to fix it if it's too dry also, which we will get to. Alright, so it doesn't really matter how long you, bake, but I am going to put some powder on my eyelids just to set them. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and brush this off because I don't need it. So one of the things you want to watch out for with translucent powders, it's called flashback. Now what is that? Flashback is when you take a picture with flash and the parts where you set the powder, they almost glow like a white cast. It's happened to me before. It's not cute. So if you're trying a new powder for the first time, you might want to check that out. Laura Mercier tends to be better about it. What I like to do, if I think it's gonna happen, is after I set, you can go in with some setting spray, like so. Which this is also gonna help all that dryness that I just talked about. And then you could just pat that powder into the skin so that we're not glowing in a bad way. Because we still want to glow, but we haven't even gotten to highlight yet. So that's what you want to do. So since we just set our face with setting spray, you want to let it dry down. And we're actually already almost done with this face tutorial. The last thing that you would do is your highlight. Well, you would do your eyes, but we're focusing on the face. So the last thing you do is highlight. I personally love highlight, obviously. A lot of people that are into makeup love it. So what you're going to want to do is, so if you don't want one this intense, then don't get one that intense. They have ones that are more subtle that you can use. I totally just wiped that on my shorts. Who cares? I'm totally still in my pajama shorts. Anyway, so also, oh yeah, my thing is broken. I dropped it like the week I got it, so we're just trying to stick together here. Anyway, you can use any kind of brush you want, really. I use this one. This is definitely not a highlight brush, but I always use this one. So you highlight, I don't know if you can see, right here, right? You can highlight wherever it fits for you best, but for me, right at the top of my cheek and up. What that's gonna do is direct the light right here and make your cheekbones look higher. If you're a blush person, you're gonna want to do blush before the highlight. So I don't really wear blush, but if you were gonna do blush, you take the blush, dip it in there, and I like to put it right here, tap, 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 and then blend it out this way. And then your blush is on. Okay, so there's the highlight. We're gonna do the other side. Now for me, I'm very minimal on certain things, and highlight is not one of them. But like bronzer, I'm pretty minimal on my bronzer. Another thing we want to talk about with highlight. Okay, so first we're gonna put it on our nose. I like to go directly on with my finger because it gives it more shine. So I just tap the tip of my nose, take a little bit more. I go on the top, right here, just right here, and then with a clean finger, I meet them in the middle, and then we've got a glowing nose like Rudolph, since we're in the holiday season, but it's not red. Anyway, so you want to get a highlight that's good for your skin tone. This one personally is really good with pretty much anyone's skin tone, and I think that was their goal. I've also seen people highlight up here, down here, up here. The other places I definitely highlight are inner corner of my eye and underneath my brow bone. But since I don't have any eyeshadow on yet, I'm not going to do that. And then right here. This makes your lips, your top lip, look a little more like plump. So that's also a nice tip. So after all this, you would do setting spray, but you do your eyes next and then setting spray. So I'm going to go do my eyes off camera. And this is the final look. It reminds me of an elf. Well, this concludes the face base tutorial. I didn't wipe my jewelry off, so if you have one, wipe it off, because you're gonna look crusty, and that's gross. You don't want to look crusty. Like, that's just gross. And it's like, ooh, what's that? Is that foundation, or is that... We don't know what it is, right? Okay, so make sure you wipe your jewelry off if you have it. And that's it for the face. You're gonna want to set your face again. I'm not going to, because I'm gonna get ready for the rest of the day. And I hope you guys found this helpful. If you're not really sure and you didn't really know how to use all the products, hopefully it's helped the people that requested it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.